Hey guys, how you doing today? How are you? How's your family? I hope you're safe. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're hydrated. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here for another video. Today I'm going to be talking about 7 of the most famous quotes of all time. I'm going to be talking about the authors. I'm going to be talking about the quotes themselves, and I'm going to talk a little about what these quotes mean to me. So please stick around and watch the video till the end. Let's go. So the first quote I'm going to talk about is by Lao Tzu, an ancient Chinese philosopher and writer. And the quote says, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step." Now, this particular quote is a very famous quote and it has been used in different contexts over the years, and it means different things for different people. So, what does it mean for me? Well, I usually try to divide my tasks into smaller portions that are very easy to accomplish, so that uh, because it's easier for me to do things step by step and think of one whole step as a I try to gain a level of accomplishment and a level of fulfillment from having completed a single step, as opposed to just tackling the whole thing head on and fighting the whole battle at once. But it makes things easier when you cut things down into bits and pieces. And also, no matter how important a project is, the most important step is the first one, because that first one creates a series of events that will eventually lead to that whole project being completed. If that was a success or as a failure, that first step is the most important step. So that's what it means for me. If it means something different for you, please leave it in the comments. Thank you. The second quote I want to talk about is by Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche, and he was a German philosopher. And the quote says, "What doesn't kill us makes us stronger." That particular quote can mean a lot of things, but the way I like to look at it is, as a human being that has lived up to this point, you are undefeated. That means you've had to face challenges that could have ended your life, that could have sent you down the wrong path, that could have made things very, very different negatively. But in spite of all the challenges, in spite of all the tribulations, you still managed to find your way to the point you are today. So that means you're undefeated. So all the challenges and all the problems have brought you here, and they have made you into the person you are today. So they have made you greater and they have made you better. So that's what I choose to interpret it as. If you have a different interpretation, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments. Thank you. Third quote I want to talk about today is by John Lennon, and it states that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And what that means for me is, you can plan for the future, you can put you can make the best possible choices, but life happens, and life will always happen. And planning for the future is great and is important, but that doesn't change the fact that there's really no way of knowing what is going to happen tomorrow, because there will always be a factor that is just outside our perception, which will affect us inevitably. So sometimes to completely throw us off balance and render all our plans pointless. This next one is by Joe Kennedy, who was an American businessman and politician. And he was very famous for saying, "When the going gets tough, the tough gets going." Now it sounds like a no-brainer at first, but there's really deep meaning behind it, and I think it's important and relevant. When things get difficult, the hard people spring to action and solve problems and deal with the problems. There are two types of people in life. There are people who rush into problems and there are people who run away from problems. There are people who know their problems so intimately because they recognize that they have a problem, and then the next instinct will be to tackle that problem. But then there's the other set of people that will shy away from their problem. They will deny that they have a problem, or they will know they have a problem, but they'll run away or procrastinate or do anything or make excuses or do anything but face their problems. But such people will not make it very far in life. That's the sad truth, because the world is tough and the world is full of problems. The only thing that is abundant in this human world today is problems. The problems come in all shapes and sizes, in all magnitudes for everybody. Everybody has custom made problems specially designed for them. So people who stand out in the world are people who are able to solve the problems of the masses. No matter how small a problem is, if you're able to solve it for a good number of people, you're probably going to be successful financially, because people will pay other people to solve their problems for them. So yeah, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. When things become difficult, the difficult people rise to action and face the situation. So that's what it means for me. If I skipped over something or I overlooked something, please leave it in the comments. Thank you. This next one is by Mahatma Gandhi. And we all know that name is a very popular name that signifies Indian excellence, signifies the struggle for peace, the struggle for peace. That's what Mahatma Gandhi represents for me. And the quote, he has many famous quotes. He has many famous quotes, but the one that I'm going to talk about today is one where he says, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Be the change you want to see in the world. Now, this is something I always apply in my life, and I do this every single time. Whenever you see people complaining that the world is this or the world is that, the world is not kind enough, there's not enough love in the world, there's not enough humor in the world, there's not enough understanding, people don't understand each other, people have disagreements, people are this, people are that. You see the world from a standpoint of your own bias, your own biases and your own prejudices and your own experiences. The world cannot be seen for what it is by a human being. It's just not possible. You only see the world from a standpoint of the experiences you've had growing up. So it takes a person of very strong moral character to act a certain way to bring about a certain response. For example, you find yourself in a coffee shop, you're trying to get coffee, and you're in line to get the coffee. Now, everybody on that line is probably agitated and in a hurry and trying to get to where they're going to, and they're probably mean because people don't like people. We're all people, but everybody agrees that we don't like people. Fine. Okay, let's say someone spills coffee on your shirt, and let's say there is a possibility that it's your fault, because being a person of high moral character, whenever something bad happens, you first of all think, what could I have done differently to make this thing to not have happened, and what can I do differently so it doesn't happen again? But that's not the first thing you think. The first thing you think is, he spilled coffee on my shirt, so now I have to go back home and change, which means I have to lose time, or I have to burn the fuel. The person is already apprehensive because the person just lost their coffee. So everybody's angry. Everybody's tense. Everybody's about to explode. But someone says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let me get that for you." There's something magical about the word sorry. It takes away the negative energy. Like, it chases demons away. When you say you're sorry, especially when you're saying it to somebody you are obviously on the same level as, or you are even better than. It shows humility, it shows culture, it shows kindness, and it shows understanding, and it shows humanity. No matter how grievous an offense is, when you first start with a sincere apology, you melt the person's heart, and instead of having a bad day, the person is going to be taken aback, and the person is going to be forced to reflect. So instead of saying, "No one says sorry in my city," you can say, whenever something wrong happens, I'm going to be the first person to apologize. So when you meet ill-mannered people, you'll be the first person to apologize, and then there will be no disagreement, and you might end up making a friend, and you might end up teaching that person to apologize the next time. When you meet well-mannered people, you both apologize, and then you definitely gain a friend, and you definitely gain somebody who will respect you, and that belief and that practice of apologizing whenever something wrong happens will be reinforced in the both of you. So be the change you want to see in the world. It's actually very important. It's a very important practice for everybody. Same as it can be applied to honesty, can be applied to kindness, can be applied to chivalry, can be applied to uh, 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 can be applied to all manner of positive, emotions and positive practices. Same as negative. If you want the world to be more negative, then be more negative to everybody you meet on the street, and it's a karmic cycle. It's going to come back to you. So let's go to the next one. This next one is by Mae West. She was an American actress and playwright, and she's famous for saying, "You only live once, YOLO." But that's only the first part of the quote. The full quote reads, "You only live once, but if you do it well enough, then once is enough." So instead of the quote telling you to take unnecessary risks and to make bad decisions, it's actually telling you that yes, you should enjoy life. Yes, you should make a point to find pleasure and experience pleasure to its depth in every single area of your life. But more importantly, that you should not feel like, you should never ever feel like, you should do everything you can to make sure you don't feel regret that there is something you could have done, because you did it. So you only live once, but once is enough. So that's what it means for me. So but if it means something different for you, please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you. The last one is by Robert. The last quote I'm going to be talking about today is by Robert H. Schuller. And the quote says, "Tough times don't last, but tough people do." What does that mean? Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Like, it almost sounds like the first one where I said, when things get difficult, then difficult people rise to the occasion. But this one is slightly different because it's not really talking about a sense of responsibility as much as it's talking about persistence, patience, and perseverance. Because the ability to be patient with yourself, to be patient with life, to be patient with people. Sometimes, no matter how good you are, no matter how dedicated you are, no matter how hardworking you are, you're going to have periods of stagnation, periods of waiting, when you have no choice but to wait. You have no choice but to be patient. You just have to find it within yourself to understand that the most important thing you can do right now, the most relevant thing you can do right now, the most effective thing you can do is nothing. It's to simply find ways to get your mind off it and be patient. Because apart from waiting in such periods, the only other thing you can do is the wrong thing, is to mess it up. Sometimes you're in a relationship with someone, things are not going well, and you know that things are not going well because the person is obviously going through a time period that has a specified end. Or maybe it doesn't have a specified end, but things are not going as well as they could be going. Things are not going as well as they should be going. And you feel like you need to do something. You feel like you need to fix it. You need to find the roots of the problem. You need to you need to solve the problem. Yes, there's nothing wrong with solving problems. But sometimes the only thing that can solve certain problems is to wait it out. You cannot defeat every enemy, but you can outlive an enemy. And while you're waiting, that is a time for sober reflection. That is a time to take inventory of how well you're doing. That is a time to count your blessings. And that is a time to make more detailed plans. And that is a time to be more vigilant and alert. Because sooner or later, life is going to throw you a bone. Life is going to give you a hand. Life is going to give you a chance. Life is going to give you an opportunity for you to make up for the lost time. And it happens 10 times out of 10. After every single waiting period comes a big opportunity. It happens in the Bible. It happens in the life of great men. It has happened in my life. It has happened in your life. You can think about periods where you seemed to be stagnant. But then suddenly something happens and then you're back on track. You're back on pace. But in that waiting period, you have all the time in the world to mess it up, to ruin it. But if you are patient and persistent with what you're doing, you're going to be ready for the opportunity when it comes and you're going to grab it. So there are a lot of other famous quotes that I was not able to mention today. And I don't know. If you guys want, I can make a second video talking about other quotes. Or if there are other quotes that you feel should be on this list but I did not mention, please leave it in the comments. Please leave a like. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.